Welcome to the Lair, a place where interesting people you may know tell you things you didn't. So grab a chair and your favorite vice and get comfortable. There are no rules in the Lair, but there is Laura Babcock. You know her from TV, and she is not into media monogamy. Let's find out who else is in the Lair.
Welcome to the Lair, Monica. It's so great to have you here. Gabriella.
Hello.
And we also have in the Peanut Gallery, Mike Cameron, Uber producer, Cable 14, Matt Jelly, community activist, and so much more. Our producer, Rob. Good to have you here. Monica Pasinato-Forchielli, you are somebody who might not be a household name yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, but you're doing some super cool things. You're not here, though, in the Lair because of some of the things that you're doing. You're here in the Lair because you're an interesting person. Just so that our audience understands what you're up to. You know, by day, you by day you run a couple of businesses, family massage therapy,
yes,
a couple locations, which does a lot of different holistic and health practices.
Yes.
And so you believe in all of that. That's what you do. It's not just about the aesthetics, it's about the healing.
Yes.
But you're also a passionate environmentalist.
Yes.
And you are running something called One Concept, which is a global environmental movement for progressive health practitioners. You've had a Canadian launch in the last few months, a U.S. launch in Atlanta. And Gabby and I were both at your launch. We had the opportunity to see what's going on with that. You know, and beyond the fact that there's definitely something happening. Even with your Canadian launch, a little soft launch, you had, I think, 12,000 views of your YouTube launch within a week. You know, stats that are impressive by Canadian standards, and I'm sure your U.S. launch will do even more. So while people, you know, might know you in a limited capacity, we've had a chance to get to know you on this sort of global scale. So.
And it's funny because we're in a Hamilton podcast right now, and I'm a born and raised Hamilton girl, even though my parents come from Italy. And I had the opportunity tonight to watch two wonderful men speak about their passion for Hamilton, and I share that passion because this is my city. And you're talking about me being this global person. I feel like I'm this local girl just wanting to make our city better. But you
do, and you are.
Yeah.
And you were referencing when you watched the podcast for Matt Jelly and PJ Mercanti.
Yes.
Interesting guys who are passionate.
Wonderful.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you fell in love with both of them. You said
did.
you'd vote for Matt Jelly if he ever ran, you know.
Go, Matt, go.
But the reason why I want to take it beyond Hamilton is that I'm sure that this will air through your other networks and things that you do. And people know you for being about something bigger than you need to be about.
Yeah,
like you don't have to spend your time trying to change an entire industry globally to become more environmentally friendly. Why are you doing it?
Why am I doing it? I guess I was just explaining this to I guess Matt earlier. It's who I am. It's every cell of my being. All I know is when you look in your children's eyes, or you just watch. Actually, when you look in any children's eyes, you see your own children, and you know that this world has this potential to be the most amazing place in the whole universe. And that's what we need to do. Up until my dying breath, this is what we need to do. We have to make the changes, and we have to be part of that. And you know, even though you have two young gentlemen sitting on the opposite sides of the fence, we just witnessed the two interviews. They're not on opposite sides of the fence. They are one and the same. They have this passion for this life and for a better life for everyone. And I think the concept is bringing these people together, these beautiful minds together. And for me right now, it's our health professional industry, because I am a registered massage therapist, and we're starting there, but it's not that we're going to stick there. It's going to go even further. It's bringing these people together to overcome everything else that's going on, that's bad, that's going on in this world. This is what I believe in.
So I'm looking for a quote here that I found today. Somebody, a young entrepreneur in Hamilton, was profiled in the newspaper, and she included one of her favorite quotes. And I'm going to try to search this because I want to bring it up with you, because it's going to blow your mind. You're the kind of person that when you hear this quote, it's everything that you stand for. But you have a lot going on. You have a couple of businesses. You have a couple of children. Why spend your time and I asked the same question of Matt Jelly earlier and PJ Mercanti and everyone who's in here. You're here because you're interesting, which to me is that you're in the theater. You're in the theater. You're not in the stands. You know, you're right down there fighting whatever it is that you're fighting for. You're not.
You know, it's
observing.
funny you say fighting. I say stand up. I stand up for what I believe in. You know, and that's.
But I've seen you at less zen moments.
Ah, yes, I have less zen moments.
When the less zen Monica comes out, we run for the hills. Okay, we run for the hills.
I've seen you when the pressures of family, several businesses, and trying to launch a global environmental revolution.
Growth. Yes.
But that would affect
Anybody would go bonkers under that
totally
pressure.
agree.
So what I'm just saying to you is that you don't need to be trying to change the entire globe around environmental practices, but you do. Why do you do it?
I do it because I know that I'm coming back one day, and I keep saying to my kids, you know, when I pass on and I come back, this world better be 10 times better than what it is right now.
So it's her strategy. It's her succession plan for reincarnation.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so let me read you this quote, and I want to
Absolutely.
get your opinion on it. Oh, I'm new to iPhones here. Pull this back up for
Yay,
me, sorry.
iPhones.
Yeah, I know. iPhone.
I know.
We've all been converted.
Yeah.
Check my phone. Okay, thank you. Okay, here we are. The irony of commitment. Okay, you ready for this? The irony of commitment is that it is deeply liberating in work, in play, in love. The act frees you from the tyranny of your internal critic, from the fear that likes to dress itself up and parade around as rational hesitation. To commit is to remove your head as the barrier to your life.
To commit is to remove your head from the barrier.
As the barrier to your life. What do you think about that? I'll read it to you one more time. The irony of commitment is that it is deeply liberating in work, in play, in love. The act of commitment frees you from the tyranny of your internal critic, from the fear that likes to dress itself up and parade around as rational hesitation. Yes. To commit is to remove your head as the barrier to your life. What do you think?
It's your actions. You just said it. It's your actions what frees you from everything. And I've had so many conversations, especially with my teenage daughter, about fear. There shouldn't be any fear in this life. You're put on this earth to live, to be, to make this life better for everyone around you. And honestly, all it takes is a smile and a lot of love and respect for each other. Honestly, it's that simple. It really is that simple. When you have this fear or this hatred for another person, there's no more freedom. There's no more freedom.
Laura has an awesome acronym for fear, and I think you told me this when I first started working with you.
Yeah.
And it literally changed the way that I thought about things, the way that I approached things. I'm a worrier. I'm a thinker. I'm always in my head. And when Laura told me this, I would think about it when I was afraid or when I was fearful, and it definitely changed my perspective on things.
Do you want to share what it is?
No, you can.
Okay. Well, I don't know where I heard it. I wish I could credit the source.
Marianne Williamson?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't remember. But the acronym is fear is false expectations appearing real.
Yes.
So whenever you feel afraid, you say, what is it that I'm expecting to happen?
Yep.
Is it a real thing or is it a false thing?
Yep. And it's almost always, it's always something that you think is going to happen, but that won't or probably won't, or you're projecting your own insecurities.
Yeah, you know what happens is what you make happen.
Well, exactly.
It's not what you're expecting or it's what you are doing now to make it happen. And when you put, like I said, a lot of happiness, a lot of love, and I know you have sometimes seen me at my craziest, but there's always a tremendous amount of love that backs that up.
Well, no doubt about it.
And
what is
amount
amazing
of passion,
about you is that I've been in my career. I'm a workaholic, super
yes,
A type.
we all know.
nut job myself. There's no doubt about it. There are definitely times when you are in the full frenzy of the complicated, ambitious life that you've chosen for yourself. But there's never a moment where there's not a fast hug behind it or a lot of gratitude. I mean, I was down there in Atlanta and I got more hug. And it's your industry.
It is. We're a touchy-feely bunch.
So many hugs.
So much hug and so many tears and so much love. It really is amazing.
You know, it was amazing down in Atlanta. We had our very first inaugural American Massage Conference. I think we just turned that whole industry upside down in the United States. And it's because of the team that we have up here in Canada. Imagine Canadians, someone had quoted, they had said, we shouldn't be worried about the eastern countries. We should be worried about the northern people invading, because
Well, think of what you
these
did. No,
Canadians.
four people from Hamilton,
Yes.
right? Well,
Yes.
Kitchener, one of you.
Yes.
But you guys went down, ran a conference. You had people from, I think, every state in the union. You had people from at least four countries that I counted in my
Absolutely.
marketing seminar alone.
Yeah.
I mean, and you were running the American Massage Conference, which is a pretty big industry. And it's not
Huge.
just massage, it's a huge industry. You're also working with, we have a chiropractor here in the room, Dr. Hoda. Hi, Andrea. But you've got people who are part of not only that, but part of your one concept for environmental best practice.
Yes.
We don't often think that it works that way. We don't often think that Canadians can mobilize an American industry like that.
Oh God, we can even narrow it down to Hamiltonians from what I'm seeing tonight.
Yeah.
Canadians are.
So what gives you guys the drive to say, you know what, we want to own an American?
I think it is
industry.
our passion, and it's our love, and I think a lot of the Americans are getting away from that. They're too busy fighting all the time, fighting wars, fighting. Whereas I think us Canadians are standing up for things that we believe in, and we're bringing that element of love and cohesiveness back together again. We had so many people after I got to speak at the conference saying, we may not understand fully what this concept is about, but we all feel it. We are feeling it. And I think, we're in a shift right now. The universe is in a shift where people are waiting for this whole movement to happen. We're waiting for more people to be able to freely express more love, more passion for this world and for each other, as opposed to continuously looking towards hate and war and fighting.
But is it the U.S.'s fault that they're in that position? I mean, somebody's got to police the world. Somebody's got to go out there and keep the super, super bad guys from taking advantage of the rest.
I don't think it's one particular person at fault. I think collectively we all have a responsibility, because a lot of times when you have victims, the victim sometimes is equally responsible for things that happen to them, and this is in the cases of abuse or
You're saying the victim of abuse is equally responsible?
The victim sometimes can be equally responsible.
I'm surprised to hear you say that, because I know that you feel very passionately about abuse against women.
I do, because at one point I was a victim, but you know what? You're only a victim if you allow yourself to be a victim.
Okay.
So
explain. Like in the case of actual sexual abuse against a woman, how is the victim allowing themselves to be a victim? You're talking about after the fact, how they deal with it?
Yes, it could
But
be
you're not
after.
talking about the
It
fact.
sometimes can even be as an adult. It even can be sometimes before.
Explain.
I think, how do I even explain? Because a lot of people just come at me and say, "Are you crazy? Like, what's wrong with you?" But,
Well, I haven't said that. I'm just, I want to
because
understand.
I got to experience it for 5 good years of my life, and you always have a choice where you want to be, and it's in you to make that decision. But that being said, when you go through an experience, it's you to decide whether you are a victim or you're learning from that experience. I'm going to tell you that 5 years for me gave me so much. I will never regret that 5 years of my life, because as a massage therapist, do you know how many women that I have on my table that are victims, if you want to put in quote, of abuse or sexual abuse? And I would say that I'm probably one of the most amazing therapists, because I get to empathize, and I get to be there, and I get to understand fully, and I get to explain to them that you have a choice now, and you don't have to make it out of hatred to say it's time for me to leave. You give it out of love, because remember this, people do bad things because of what they've learned, because we're all born the same. They have learned this. God bless them, because this is what they were taught. So can you imagine an abuser, what their life must have been like to be able to subject somebody else to that misery? So you have to remember that.
People are products of how they were raised.
So, okay, but you've been through, as you said, 5 years of abuse.
Sure.
And You could have done, I mean, you're making a position which I find fascinating. I mean, I gave you the out of saying, yes, what I'm talking about, Laura, is after the abuse itself, the person may have some responsibility in how they handle it. And you said, no, Laura, even in bringing on the abuse, there's some accountability there, which very few women ever say, especially victims of, or people who have been the recipient of abuse. That's fascinating that you put that out there to me. How is it that you then have embraced this love thing?
Yeah.
I mean, even when you saw PJ Mercanti and Matt Jelly in different interviews, you know, if you'd had them both here in the Lair, you would have tried to do some sort of a kumbaya session to bring them together.
Absolutely.
We would have been doing something.
You know,
they would have been hugging by the end of that.
There would have been some serious.
That's still my
They
goal.
would have been doing downward dog,
Down
yoga,
dog,
hugging,
and
whatever.
So I'm telling you
I can
that,
imagine
like,
she's going, yes, she would have, and she would have made them do that because that's what she's all
she
about.
would have. You would not have gotten out of here. She would have chased you down to where you
You guys
live.
would have been best friends by the time I was finished with you.
I disagree. I think it would have been an agreeable conversation.
See, he already feels that
Yeah.
just because. Oh, he's just feeling it.
All I'm
already.
saying is that even if you were in here with a true enemy, and I know you
Yeah.
and PJ have gotten past stuff and it wasn't that big in the first place, just making the point, though, the case in point, even if you were here with an arch rival, Monica would have insisted you guys loved each other by the time you left
Yeah.
the Lair. So why did you, especially having had some bad experiences in your own life that you've just brought up, how did you come to this point? That you are all about love and the universe and getting everyone
universe
together.
is about love. You know what? There's more success when you.
But how did you find that truth?
How did I find it? Oh, with all my experiences. With all my experiences. Once I started.
But even the negative ones, like even the negative
you know
experiences.
What? And you know, good question. Both these, you know, even the negative ones. How do you? It's how you perceive things. You can either hold on to that anger. And it'll get you nowhere. You'll just throw that back into the universe. You'll throw that back at the people that surround you, that love you. Or you accept it and you take responsibility for it and you say, you know what? I always had a choice. You know where choices come from? They come from education. It's, you know, and this is what I teach my children.
You're talking about life experience, education.
But even
formal
I think it's the
education as well?
responsibility even of the parents, of educators, of everyone. You know, a lot of people want to hide from their children everything that's happening in the world. You know what? Really get over it. Give them ammunition. Give them this education so that when they go out there, when they're faced with something that could potentially be dangerous or terrible to them,
Right.
they already have knowledge to say, okay, do I want to do this or do I not want to do this? You know what? My parents taught me that this is the potential outcome for this situation. But if you hide everything from them, you gave them nothing.
You're preaching to the choir.
Right? You've given them nothing
Yeah.
to work with. You haven't given them any tools. And you know what, Mike? I have even people in my family. They want to hide everything from their children because they're thinking, you know, I'm protecting them. You can't protect them. They're their own soul. They're their own life. They're their own source. Give them everything.
Yeah.
And then if they make a mistake, it's not because they just chose to. Because if they have every bit of information, and they still made that error in judgment, well, that's theirs.
But then they can learn from that.
Absolutely.
And I, you know, talking about your perspective on things, I think it's an empowering way to look at things, right? Because it's putting the power back in people's own life and giving you the choice to
Well, I
say
think it
yes
was-
or no, to say
I think it was
I'm in, I'm
yeah.
out, but you know.
It's self-determination, which is
Well,
something we talk
exactly.
about a lot.
We do.
I think Eleanor Roosevelt said it best when she said, nobody can make me feel anything. You know, the idea that your feelings, your responses are completely within your own control.
They are.
They're self-determining. It's just really interesting, Monica, to hear somebody who's as candid as you are, which is why another reason you're so interesting, as candid as you are about having been through something like the abuse you were through, and just being accountable, being free with it, being open, wanting your family to understand everything. But I'm a new mom, relatively speaking, compared to you. Your kids are teenagers. I'm of the same mind. I've had an interesting, colorful life. I have made lots of bad choices, but I've seen a lot of fascinating things. And I would not want to hide that from my children.
Never.
I don't want to, you know, say, here's the cocktail of things I did wrong. Feel free to experiment with all of the above.
Don't do everything that I did.
Really, there were some bad moments in there. But at the same time, though, I can't imagine editing my experience or whatever
can't.
wisdom
Because
I've...
now it makes up who you are and what you've
And
done.
I would think, like, why make them go through it twice if I can't I impart some of that?
Hey, listen, if we didn't do that, we'd all be godlike. We'd be sitting on, I don't know, in the Oasis, and we'd all be sipping martinis and, having a grand old time.
That's what we're doing right now.
Okay, so we're on the right path. We're on the right path. Here we go.
I'm looking around going, well, we're sitting around drinking
In
drink.
beautiful Hamilton, in the Lair, the secret Lair.
So things are going well. So what is the one, Oprah asked Madonna a question that I thought was great, and it made an impression on me. She said, it was when she first had her daughter, and Madonna being somebody who, I mean, you are very open with your sexuality. You believe in sensuality.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know this about you, but you ride a motorcycle. You have a very cool edge to you. No, you really do. You're a bit of a badass. And so is Madonna, and she's sort of the archetype of that, right? Of an independent, self-determining badass, open to her own sexuality. And Oprah said to her, now that you have a daughter, what is the one thing that you want your daughter to know? I mean, given that for people who don't remember, Madonna did the sex book. She did everything,
well,
right?
you know what's funny is I'm an open book. I just had this conversation. I'm doing a segment tomorrow with one of my therapists, and you know what? I've always been an open book, even if it meant that I had to put so many personal things out there. It didn't matter, and I don't draw a line between who I am professionally and who I am personally. This is me as a whole. Take it or leave it. And some people may say, why is she giving me all that personal information? Do you want to know why? Because that personal information may help that woman down the road that what do I have to hide? We're all human. You know what? So you've experienced this, or you've done that, or this is my experience. This is who I am. If you don't like it, that's okay.
Isn't that liberating?
It is.
I'm not quite at that point, but I get more that way every day.
It is.
And you're kind of like, you know what? I'm the sum of my parts, and they're good parts and they're bad parts, but I am what I am.
But you're okay with your daughter knowing the good, the bad,
my daughter's known everything, and so has my son since day one. Okay, this is going to be pretty...
Go ahead. I just want to tell you what Madonna answered.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Madonna's
because
answer.
She used to hide. She never allowed television at home, or...
Well, she's gone through
Was she hiding her own things, though, or was she hiding...
No.
I don't know. She's gone through some weird things. I'm not going to sit here and be an apologist for Madonna's mentality, but I will say this. Her answer was, I want my daughter to learn to love herself. If there's the one thing I can teach her is self-respect, then she will make choices in life, be they about vice, be they about whatever. Right. Basically saying to Oprah, if she can love herself, then that is the rudder that will take her through life.
There you go. It's the word love again, and there's love, and and if you're loving yourself, that's a respect, and you know. What's that?
Yeah. Rob saw the sex book. He really liked that.
She was loving herself.
Wasn't she loving the dog, or the dog was loving her?
Weird.
Yeah. Something, I remember that.
Even that little bit of love for yourself, that's good too. That's a whole other conversation, but I'm for that also. Yeah. And especially for teenage young girls, that's a little better than anything else.
It's good to love yourself in every way.
In every way. Let's just leave it at that. All you got to do is read my daughter's, is it Form
her
Spring?
commencement speech, or her
Form Spring? Is it Form Spring?
Well, yes.
Okay, Form Spring. I always call it Spring Form. She mocks the crap out of me. Should I say shit out of me?
Spring Form? I don't know what it is, actually.
Whatever. She's probably one of the most leading, I call her one inspirational youth, because that's who she is.
This is where explain to people what it is.
My daughter she blows everybody away.
But what does it specifically? People can ask her questions.
She can
right?
ask her
online. People can submit questions.
And she gets hit 200 times a day. And
really?
Wow. Yeah, she's brilliant, and she's her answers are always positive, enlightening, filled with love. She's had people talking about suicide, about relationship issues, about abuse, and there's never a time that she doesn't fill a page with her thoughtfulness, and a tremendous amount of love and respect, and even she's enlightened, and and she gets it, because I say you always have to speak the truth. This is who I am. You have to decide who you are, but I think something else speaks through her.
Did you teach her by example? Do you think?
Absolutely,
absolutely. Is that how she got that way?
Absolutely.
So if you could use one word to describe yourself, what would it be?
describe myself?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just filled with a tremendous. Well, one word.
One word.
One word. I have it in my head for you.
Yeah, I do too. Because
Phosphorus.
What's that?
Phosphorus.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
Phosphorus?
I'll tell you why. Phosphorus.
Did anyone think that was going to be the answer? Phosphorus?
Well, I studied homeopathy, and and my homeopathic constitution is phosphorus, which means bubbly, which means, you know, like effervescent.
And Gabby, you were going to say what? Passion?
I was gonna say love, since
Love.
that was.
I was going to say passion. I was not going to say phosphorus.
Well, you know, my last name is Pasinato, which is very close to the word passionate. So I've always
That's
loved.
true. I never
I
thought about
love
that.
my my maiden name is
You know,
my
I
maiden
love-
name is Pasinato, which is passionate to me, and then my married name is Forchielli, which is a fork. So I'm thinking, I'm gonna take my passion, I'm gonna stab you.
You know what? That explains the
You're
two
gonna
sides.
feel this passion.
That explains.
Whether you want it to or not.
I can't believe how revealing that was for the two sides of Monica that I have gotten to know. Monica, the fact that you said that you describe yourself as phosphorus, you must come back to the Lair and maybe, possibly, have your daughter in here as the youngest Lair interview ever, because she sounds like an amazing woman. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, blow you away.
I'd love to have her.
Blow you away. We would, you know what? If you can get live call-ins, she'd give you an audience. If
That'd be awesome.
if every high school in this area knew that she was going to be on live for call-ins, she'd blow you away.
You might do our first live to Lair, just for your daughter. And you know what? For being everything that you are, for all the love you exude, and for being passion with a fork,
And for your legs.
and for your legs, and for your legs. Monica, thank you for being in the Lair.
Thank you, Monica.
Both Laura and Gabby, I love you guys like tremendously.
Thanks, Peanut Gallery.
Chats in the Lair is a Power Group production. Visit us at powergroup.ca or laircast.com, or check us out on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.